everybody? We are Tankers Fantasy Football. We're coming back with these average draft position videos. So we got round 5 here coming at you. So we're going to start you off hot and heavy with the old trusty in Drew Brees here.
I mean, my goodness, Drew Brees in NFL history. There have been, the quarterbacks have thrown for over 5,000 yards 9 times, and 5 of those times it was Drew Brees. I mean, how can you deny the sexiness of Drew Brees? I mean, if you're about drafting quarterbacks, I mean, if you're a top tier quarterback, I say wait and get this Drew Brees action in the early 5th round.
I mean, the only thing you can really say is Brandon Cooks is out the door, but still, you're going to have this guy looking at 4,500 yards easy. You're looking at 30 touchdowns. And this guy is a lock among locks for those kind of numbers.
And also, you start looking at guys that are going in the 5th round after him. I mean, how can you deny that Drew Brees should be drafted there? I mean, like,
we're gonna get
4 or 5 of these guys.
Pretty bad names here coming out here.
Oh, shit, terrible.
And we're talking second pick in the 5th round here. We're talking Golden Tate here. I mean, he's like a poor man's Landry. I mean, I can still see some value, but his ceiling is severely capped off.
Yeah, I just don't know. I know Golden Tate is probably going to return you minimum flex play value and probably low-end wide receiver 2. And I know that's pretty good value for the 5th round, but I just can't get in on it. It's just not a very sexy pick. It is a safe pick, though, so if you're into that and the Golden Tate situation, just hope it doesn't start off as bad as it did last year. But I don't know. It is a safe play, I guess.
I mean, maybe if you get a little risky on some other guys, like say you take an Alshon, you maybe take, a Tyreek Hill or Sammy Watkins or something like that. You want to sew up a very conservative play in the 5th round. I feel like Golden Tate's not a bad bet.
Yeah, next guy we got Doug Martin. So if you're talking about Golden Tate, I'd definitely take Golden Tate over the likes of Doug Martin, who's even missing 3 games this season.
Suspended 3 games here. Jacquizz Rodgers is going to be the starter for 3 games. Even with that said, last year was an absolutely lost season for him. He played 8 games. Again, ended up getting injured. Did not look good whatsoever. But he still has 2 1,400-yard seasons under his belt. They're saying he looks like the Doug Martin, the 2015 with the explosions, leaning down. But for the 5th round, we're talking for suspended 3 games. I feel like that is a stiff price.
I think that should be more down into that 7th round. If it was into that 7th round, I might start feeling it a little bit more, but I just can't really get about it here in the 5th. We got another running back going off the board, in Adrian Peterson, and I guess the hype train is probably going to start rolling once training camp and these preseason games starts, but I am still afraid. I mean, Mark Ingram is there. I mean, this is going to be a timeshare out there. It's not going to be all Adrian Peterson. I mean, Peterson is probably going to be looking to get the goal line work. But I don't know. He's never been a really big pass-catching back. And I know he's talking about, I'm going to be catching balls this year. I mean, but Peterson is always he's super full of himself. I mean, this guy believes in himself more than anybody. I mean, I know that's a good attribute, but at sometimes it kind of falters you a little bit.
And sometimes your body starts to just give up on you.
I mean, his mind believes he can do these magical things, but sometimes he just can't. I don't know. I'm not really in on the Mark Ingram this year either, but I just can't feel that Adrian Peterson as my starting running back going into the season. I just can't really get about that.
I feel like Ingram almost is coming to value, too. I've seen him sometimes going to the 8th, even 9th round. I mean, what are we talking here?
I think Ingram will be the guy catching those balls.
I'm not in love with any New Orleans back, but seriously, if we're talking 8th and 9th round, Mark Ingram instead of, 5th round, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I'd say just give me, if you must have a New Orleans Saint running back, I'd say wait and just draft Mark Ingram there. Another guy here finally getting a little bit of value going on in this 5th round with some Julian Edelman. and I think his stock is, he's usually going about that late third, fourth round like he was last year. This stock's fallen a little bit this year because of the Cook signing, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think Cooks is looking to open up that middle and maybe those short sideline passes with him taking that safety down the field, and I just think Edelman, you can write Edelman down for 90 catches.
Oh, I think Edelman, at worst, I feel like he is going to be a wide receiver 2 by the end of the year. I feel like if he plays, there's no way he doesn't finish the top 24 wide receiver. I feel like Cooks will help stretch the field, leaving those lanes over the middle with Edelman. He'll get you those nice balls over the middle. So I feel like he's another guy with Golden Tate who's a very, very, very high floor pick for you, that if you do get risky in the first few rounds, he's a guy that you might want to target here.
Yeah. We got decent tight end going here. Greg Olsen, tight end value is what it is, but Greg Olsen did fall off late last season. He only had, one touchdown after like week 4 or 5. And he is aging. I know he's going to have PPR value. I know he probably will still be a top 5 tight end. But just taking him here, I just feel like you can get guys like Rudolph, who's going mid to late 8th. I just think that is more along the lines of where I would be targeting my tight end instead of paying for this mid to late 5th Greg Olsen situation.
All right, we got Larry Fitzgerald, back-to-back years, coming out hot and heavy for you, but then only to complete fall apart down the stretch. And I don't know. I feel like he's getting older. I feel like Carson Palmer is getting older and his arm is getting shot. And I'm just really not feeling the Fitzgerald this year, even though he's one of my all-time favorite players. I absolutely love this guy, but I feel like we might be talking a sunset right here soon.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't get about it. I just think the time he is good for the season is just getting shorter and shorter each year. So we might be looking at only a sexy boy September this year. And if you do draft him, if he does have
sell
a good
high.
First month, I'd definitely sell high. And Fitzgerald is not necessarily a good draft pick, but this next guy is absolutely gross. We're talking about Abdullah, and I'm not necessarily hating.
I see the upside still. He only played 2 games last year. He's still young. His third year. Serious, legitimate upside. But you're drafting this guy as a starter.
Yeah, this is the 5th round. You're drafting this guy as your RB2. And going into the season with Amir Abdullah as your RB2 is shit-faced hammered. How are you going to do that? That is absolutely gross. If this guy, you're able to snag this guy up in like the 8th, maybe 9th round as like your first bench player, I'd be on it. But going in here in the mid 5th round, guys, we are talking about a starter here. How are you going to go into the season rocking some Amir Abdullah as your RB2? That is so unsavory.
One guy that I am loving here in the mid 5th round, we're talking Jamison Crowder. We had him on some value plays for our videos. Jamison Crowder, I really feel like with Deshaun Jackson out, with Pierre Garçon out, he's going to be pushing right around 90 to 100 catches on the season. And truly feel like, what he finishes, top 25 wide receiver last year?
Yeah, top 25, just a shade out of those 12-team wide receiver 2 conversation at that wide receiver 24. He finished the 25th. And I know he faded down that stretch. And if he wouldn't have faded down that, he only had single digits in all the weeks from 14 to 17. And I know you have the bad taste in your mouth if you were riding him into those fantasy playoffs. But from weeks 1 through 13, this guy only had single digits in PPR 1 time. And D-Jack's out of town, Garcon's out of town. They're talking about how they're loving him out in practice. And I think, this guy is going to get a lot of possession looks, and he is a possession guy that can take it to the house.
Yeah, I absolutely love that pick in the 5th round. I would truly look at taking him out of every single guy except maybe Edelman that we've talked about. And I would still think long and hard about getting him over Edelman just because I feel like his ceiling might be higher.
I think his ceiling is higher, a little bit higher than Golden Tate and Edelman. I think I would probably roll the dice on the Crowder over those two. And the next guy we got is C.J. Anderson, and this is another just gross pick to me. I don't understand it.
I just feel like it's been a decade since C.J. Anderson has been fantasy relevant. I know he had the one glorious overtime 100-yard game, walk-off touchdown that we're talking about. But other than that,
these primetime games just leave these memories in these people's heads that they just can't erase.
He's never gone over 900 yards in any season that he's had so far.
He's like J. Stu Jr. out there. It's like the dream just lives on forever, and he just continues to have these shining moments, and everybody's like, see, there it is. There's the C.J. Anderson that I know. And it's like, come on, bro. Come on. You know he's going to go out there and just shit the bed for you the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Not to mention, they're talking that it might be a 4 running back committee.
Yeah, they're 4 running backs. You're talking about if 4 running backs are playing snaps for you and ending in a week, no one holds value.
You're talking
not starter value.
C.J. Anderson, whatever. I'm not excited about Jamal Charles. His knee gave up. I'm sorry, I love you, but you're done.
Not RB2 value. We're talking about Booker, 4 guys touching footballs.
And then we're talking this other 4th guy. I don't even remember his name. But if a 4th name was mentioned, that's bad news.
We did know it at one point, but he's out there, and he is going to touch footballs. And if he is, this is ridiculous. I mean, C.J. Anderson is not at all on the. I mean, my goodness. The next guy we're talking about, Danny Woodhead here, and I think you clearly have to take Danny. I know Danny Woodhead isn't necessarily sexy deluxe whatsoever, but he has. I mean, if he's on the football field, his floor is so much higher than the likes of Abdullah and C.J. Anderson.
Oh, I think
ridiculous.
I think his floor is absolutely fantastic. I feel like if he plays, I mean, there's no way he's not an RB2. There's no possible way. This guy has legitimate back end RB1 upside for how many balls he's going to be catching. No one slings it more the last 2 years than the Baltimore Ravens. This is the best receiving running back since Ray Rice, and I know that's crazy, but still. I mean, I'm kind of feeling the Woodhead here in the second from last pick in the 5th round.
I'm trying to get that name for you guys for that Denver Bronco running back that is completely escaping us right now.
While he pulls it up, we're talking about the 12th and final pick at the turn of the 5th round. Talking Matt Ryan here. Once again, I feel like he is the 4th of the elite guys when we're talking Aaron Rodgers, talking Tom Brady, talking Drew Brees, talking Matt Ryan. Last year, he really took his game to the next step.
Daniel Henderson. That is the boy.
Henderson is getting snaps.
Oh, my goodness. That is ridiculous.
Somehow.
The likes of Daniel Henderson is getting snaps out there, people. That is not a very good thing for the value of C.J. Anderson.
Matt Ryan.
I mean, we talk about 4 or 5 dudes that are gross in this round. So if you're on quarterback, I mean, this is the guy we're talking about, top tier quarterback. This is the last one to go.
Mention the 4 names.
Mention the 4 names of Rodgers, Breeze, and, some Brady, and we got some Matt Ryan. And this is the last ship. And I know Ryan's only been sexy deluxe once, so he has a little bit, he could drop down like those other 3 guys are more
solid. But his weapons have not gone anywhere.
Yeah.
And not to mention he played a couple games without Julio. So if you're taking Julio, Gabriel, Sanu, you already got Freeman, you got Coleman.
37 yards. I mean, that's pretty sexy. Low watermark in the season was 237 yards in the game. And I mean, that is sexy deluxe out there. He had 5 games in which he had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also sexy deluxe.
Very good.
I think if you're looking, just take quarterback because no other value is at position in this late 5th. I think Matt Ryan is your boy. And I know we shit all over a few guys in this round. I think we got to talk about some guys that are going a round or 2 later here that we would get on instead. And got some Mike Gillislee, some Dalvin Cook, some Tevin Coleman, and some Manuel Sanders who's even going in that 7th round. And I mean, my goodness, I think all of these dudes are going to outperform the likes of who we got. Who was there?
I think Doug Martin, C.J. Anderson. I mean, even Abdullah. I feel like Abdullah definitely has some ceiling to him, but he has an extremely dead rock bottom floor.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to almost say Emmanuel Sanders is going to outscore some Fitzgerald. What do you think?
I mean, yeah. If you look at, he's been over 1,000 yards back-to-back seasons. I know Fitzgerald has 2, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like his quarterback play is a little bit better. I know Simeon, he can get better, and if Paxton Lynch I feel like that does raise
But if you're
his
talking about
ceiling a
2
little
full
bit.
rounds later, I think he got to wait for that Emmanuel Sanders over that Fitzgerald.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
If you're
that's
taking
ridiculous.
ADP into play and we're talking mid-7th Sanders and mid-5th Fitzgerald, I'm taking Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, even after the Sexy Deluxe that was 2014 when every Bronco was just getting it done. I mean, this guy's gone over 75 receptions and 1,000 yards in the last 2 seasons. I don't know. I think you can write Emmanuel Sanders down for wide receiver 2 production going into that 7th rounder. All right, then.
So there it is. There's round 5. We'll be coming back with round 6 very soon here. Make sure you subscribe below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Give us a comment. We love talking to you.
Oh, we love it.
We do.
I will get back to you within the half hour if I am not asleep, people. That's what is up. I am on it. Let's go.
Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time here.